And he was born in the UK but raised on Long Island. Tonight, the music world mourning the loss of legendary rapper MF Doom.
Once dubbed the elusive bard of hip-hop, we learned today that underground rapper MF Doom has died at the age of 49.
Hell yeah.
On December 31st, 2020, rapper and producer Metalface Doom was confirmed dead 2 months after his actual passing. Not only did this news shake fans to the core, but it also raised serious questions about his death and whether it could have been prevented. Before we uncover the details of his untimely demise, it's important to take a moment to look back on the life of this icon, your rapper's favorite rapper, who truly defined what it means to find your inner child.
It's a little rap beef starting right now with Vic and Doom. Vic is kind of plotting on him. I think he's getting a little jealous because Doom's getting shine. He's talking about coming out with it like a diss record.
Is Doom ready to respond?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go up against him.
Daniel Dumoulin, the oldest of 4 siblings, shared a tight bond with his younger brother Dingy Lee Zway, later known as DJ Sabrock. Growing up, the two were practically inseparable, especially when it came to their shared love for music. After spending a few years in London, their family moved to New York, where hip-hop was exploding into a cultural phenomenon. It didn't take long for Daniel and Ding to get swept up in it, and by 1988, they formed a group called KMD along with their friend Onyx the Birthstone Kid. Daniel took on the name Zev Love X, and together they started chasing their dreams. KMD got their first real break with a feature on 3rd Base's track The Gas Face, which put them on the radar. That success led to a deal with Elektra Records, and in 1991, they dropped their debut album, Mr. Hood. The album mixed playful humor with social commentary, and thanks to MTV and BET playing their singles, it gained a decent following, even reaching number 67 on the Billboard charts. Just as things seemed to be picking up, life took a tragic turn. In 1993, Sabrock was hit by a car and killed, a devastating loss for Daniel and the group. To make things worse, Elektra Records pulled the plug on KMD's second album, Black, citing its controversial cover art, which showed a cartoon figure being lynched. The label wasn't willing to take the risk, and the group's momentum came to a screeching halt. The loss of his brother and the shelving of their album took a heavy toll on Daniel Dumoulin, marking a deep turning point in his life. Feeling betrayed by the industry that had turned its back on him, Zev Love X vanished from the scene after being released from his record deal, taking nearly 5 years to rebuild himself. Much like the origin story of any supervillain, Doom channeled his anger from the mistreatment he endured, using it as a driving force. During this time, he focused on perfecting his craft, performing at open mics, and honing his skills in underground circles. By 1997, he began frequenting the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, freestyling with a stocking over his face to hide his identity and create an air of mystery around his persona. In 1999, Zev Love X re-emerged, but this time he was no longer the same person. He resurfaced with a completely new identity, MF Doom, and made up for lost time by releasing Operation Doomsday, an album that redefined him as a solo artist. Released on the indie label Fondlem Records, the album was met with critical acclaim, marking the start of his legendary run in underground hip-hop. The masked villain had returned, and this time, he was here to stay.
They call me Doom too. Yeah, so I can always relate to that character. I liked him. He was ill. Yeah. He always come through and he'll disappear. It seemed like they killed him, but he always comes back. Only up until after the KMD did I really say, word, yo, if I was to come back, it just hit me one day, I know, it had to be as that dude. Like,
a wealth of bootlegs, compilation appearances, mixtapes, and instrumental albums surfaced over the years. But no follow-up full-length arrived, until Doom introduced his alter ego, King Ghidorah, in 2003 with Take Me to Your Leader. MF Doom found it boring to tell stories from just one character, so he began using multiple personas in his music. This shift allowed him to explore different themes and keep his storytelling fresh, becoming a defining feature of his style. This was swiftly followed by Vaudeville Villain, credited to another moniker, Victor Vaughn. From stocking coverings to bandanas, by 2004, he had finally developed his signature mask. His collaboration with the multi-talented Madlib resulted in the creation of Madvillain, and their April 2004 release, Madvillainy, garnered rave reviews, eventually becoming one of the most acclaimed hip-hop albums of the decade. In the early 2000s, Demise also released solo albums under the pseudonyms King Ghidorah and Victor Vaughn. He followed this up by contributing to several collaborative projects, including Madvillain, Danger Doom, Doom Starks, Czarface meets Metalface, and more, often adopting different monikers along the way. Demise fully embodied the villain persona, crafting an aura that generated significant buzz despite his status as an underground rapper. As his artistry evolved, so did his iconic mask. Demise wore the mask while performing and would not be photographed without it. As from his earlier photos with KMD, there's nothing much out there about this guy. Later versions of the mask were based on a prop from the 2000 film Gladiator. Academic Hershini Bana Young argued that by appropriating the Dr. Doom mask, Demise positions himself as enemy, not only of the music industry, but also of dominant constructions of identity that relegate him as a black man to second-class citizenship. I like to keep my personal life separate from my home and family. I draw inspiration from it, sure, but the people in my neighborhood, they don't even know what I do. I'm just the dude who lives over there, or the guy down the street who comes into the store.
You know, it don't matter what the artists look like, it's more what the artists sound like. So the mask really represents to rebel against the trying to sell the product as a human being.
MF Doom appeared in a number of live show comics throughout the early 2000s, seemingly living out his childhood dreams. His music was thriving, he had carved out a niche as an underground artist, and everything seemed to be falling into place. But even greater things were on the horizon. In late 2005, although still an independent artist, MF Doom teamed up with Danger Mouse to release The Mouse and the Mask, which became his second major breakthrough. The album peaked at number 2 and was commercially successful, helping to solidify MF Doom as a household name in the US. What made this album particularly interesting was its collaboration that followed with Cartoon Network's Adult Swim, which pushed MF Doom into the mainstream in a unique way for an independent underground rapper. His personality and style truly came to light during this time. Doom would incorporate cartoon skits into his music videos, sampling songs and giving them his signature twist. It was during this period that the MF Doom persona we know today really took shape. Additionally, MF Doom landed several roles in Adult Swim shows, further cementing his place in popular culture. With his unique success, MF Doom developed a cult-like following. And so his stance on hip-hop began to shift. For me, there's no more after 1993. It all turns into pop or bubblegum. He no longer considered it pure underground hip-hop, but more about who he was in relation to the culture's standards. This shift was echoed in the events that followed.
Y2G twice to 3. Wait, whoa. The fuck out of here. The fuck?
What you just saw is one among a string of concerts where MF Doom would send imposters to perform in his place. When asked about it, he had this to say.
MF Doom is the Andy Kaufman of hip-hop. Why you sometimes don't come to the show? His answer to that question was, I don't leave any money on the table. But sometimes it's not enough money. So when it's not enough money, I send the imposter. Isn't that wrong? But his answer made perfect sense. And I'm not your friend. He never said you don't have to like me. I'm the villain.
In 2010, MF Doom was refused entry into the United States after his European tour. The issue stemmed from the fact that Demise never became a naturalized U.S. citizen. This was only his second international tour, and he had previously avoided leaving the country. Demise believed that his long-term residency and family connections would help him secure re-entry, but the denial forced him to be separated from his wife and children for nearly 2 years. In 2012, his family moved to London and Demise decided he was done with the U.S., ultimately settling in Leeds. Many of his fans were frustrated with the U.S. government for not resolving the issue.
Yo, that Rap Snitches shit on the Doom album, yeah, that's easily one of the greatest shits ever. Rap Snitches, tell them no their business. Take it to court, they be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here.
If you know anything about MF Doom, you know he wasn't active on the internet. His life outside music was a mystery. He was the type of rapper who could walk to the grocery store unnoticed. He lived a quiet, peaceful life with his wife Jasmine and their 5 children. In 2020, MF Doom was being treated at St. James's Hospital in Leeds after developing breathing problems caused by a severe reaction to blood pressure medication. The medication had caused swelling in his throat and tongue, leading to his admission and the need for a respirator to help him breathe. If you remember, that year also marked the height of the global pandemic, with strict COVID-19 restrictions in place, including in England where Daniel lived. Because of this, Jasmine was unable to visit her husband in the hospital. Tragically, on December 31st, 2020, she announced via social media that her husband, Daniel Demise, had passed away 2 months earlier, on October 31st, 2020. Details about his death later came to light, shocking both fans and the music industry. MF Doom had always kept his life private, so few were aware of any health issues he might have had. As the circumstances surrounding his passing were revealed, it became clear that his death might have been preventable. Jasmine raised concerns about the treatment her husband received at St. James's Hospital. She claimed he had been unable to alert medical staff to his deteriorating condition because the call buzzer was out of reach. Jasmine shared that Demise had phoned her in distress, reporting worsening swelling and difficulty breathing. She described the room he was in as outdated and unfit for care, saying, "It wasn't set up. Maybe it was a hospital room a long time ago. It did have a bed in it." Medical staff, however, maintained that the room was part of the emergency department. Jasmine, while on a call with her distressed husband, used a second phone to alert nurses on duty, but tragically she was unable to see him until after he had passed away. Her legal representatives raised additional questions about the hospital's care, specifically how often Daniel was checked by staff and why there was a 2-hour delay in administering medication for his swollen throat. This delay is one of the most tragic aspects of his passing. Had that medication been given sooner, it could have saved his life. The inquest revealed that his medical records, which were held in London, were inaccessible in Leeds, potentially complicating his treatment. However, doctors took to explain that Demise's condition was caused by a rare side effect of ACE inhibitors, leading to angioedema, a condition where parts of the body suddenly swell. Despite showing signs of slight improvement, eating and drinking, his condition quickly worsened. It's heartbreaking that such an influential figure, a rap icon, a husband, and most importantly a father, had to pass away under these circumstances. We extend our heartfelt wishes to his family and hope they find strength in the face of this tragedy.